All right. It's been a minute since I've been on, so let's take a look at a few things. Let's talk about trucking stuff or some other crap. Who knows? Let's go. Let's see where this goes. Get your coffee. Yeah. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's time to rise and shine. I should put that as the theme song instead of, just metal, just punch you in the face, right? Anyways, good morning. I hope all is well. It is June 19th, 6/19. And, the wife will get that reference. But anyways, hope all is well. We got a few things to look at today. I've been down too many rabbit holes this morning, so I'm mentally kind of fried right now, which is, you are what you consume. So I'm kind of like frazzled here. It's been an interesting day. Monday I didn't go live because I had a lot on my plate. Going live was the last thing I needed to do. Let's see, what else? So today we're going to attempt it. And this, someone needs to help me here, right? So I got on StreamYard. Maybe StreamYard gurus can help me with this. So I set up the deal, right? And before I hit go live, I had to call Shannon. And because she texted me, and it was an important situation. So I didn't hit the go live button yet. But yet people were in there. So is that like coming from the YouTube homepage? Like kind of like before a premiere, like you can kind of get in there? Or because it was just weird. Like, I don't know how you guys do that. How does that happen? So anyways, maybe YouTube gives you a notification you get in there, but I haven't started yet. Maybe that's what that is. Kind of like a premiere. Is that what happens? So, anyways, it makes me nervous. So I muted my mic to make sure that, our conversation wasn't being taped because, not that there's anything shady. We just don't need all of the company's business in the deal, right? In the deal. So, anyways, someone help me with that. Is that what happens? So, anyways, good morning. It is Wednesday. Freight volumes are up. We'll tap into the low boards. Know your leverage. Know when you have leverage, and I'll give you a perfect scenario of what I dealt with yesterday. So I noticed that rates were above a certain amount per mile coming out of the south, and I'm talking not Georgia, but I'm talking like Louisiana. And I've been doing this game long enough that I can tell when I have a broker that's inexperienced. Not because they don't know the information, but because of their negotiating tactics. And it's like there's this like playbook that I've learned to recognize that they follow. And so I needed a load out of Mississippi with close to Louisiana border there. So, and I knew that rates and volumes were in my favor, more than normal. So I called on this load, and the guy spoke very clean, plain, great English. And that was when, I like that because now I can negotiate with my normal skills. I'm not trying to decipher language barriers or whatever. And so I called. I said, hey, I'm interested in your load going from point A to point B. And I already had a number set in mind. I'm looking at the averages, and I know that I can kind of trash them. I'm on the 123 low board. I'm on DAT. They're agreeing about what the rate is normally. And then the market rate tool told me that, I already knew this, but it said that you had some negotiation strength here. In other words, 123 will tell you when to hold the line. There's a market condition when you don't want to lose a load over $50, right? But there are market conditions where, you can totally hold the line of several $100s. So we were about $600 apart on what they wanted and what I wanted, what I wanted, but then what I needed, I got them up to that number. So, when I call on a load, I've got a preset number of where I'm not going to go below, depending on the market. If you're in New Jersey, well, there's a different strategy to that. You don't want to take something stupid, but you also want to take something short. I know a driver recently that took a load from New York State down to Texas, and it was a horrible rate, horrible strategy, because you want to go short out of that area, so you're minimizing the quote unquote damage of the lower rate per mile and rate per day. So, anyways, I started to talk, and the broker, we joked a little bit, and and got a little jokey with them, and then there's one point where I said, I saw, we realized how far apart we were, and I said, well, I realize, and try this if you want, okay? I said, yeah, man, I know both of our bosses are, getting us to, they're putting the grip on us to make sure that we keep as much profit margin as we possibly can. So I understand the pressures that you're under. It must be like hell, because I notice the volumes are really good right now, and you're probably having some struggle, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, and he goes, it's not really my boss, it's my customers that are, giving me this pressure. I said, well, customers are your boss, right? He goes, huh, that's a valid point. So he was doing these $50 increments. I'm like, no, man, I've got this number, and this is what I'm staying at. Is that, man, my boss would be mad if I take something for less than X amount per mile out of this area, because right now rates are really good out of there, blah, blah. And so he goes, well, let me get your information just in case, I can get this up to where you need it. And so I gave him, he has my phone number. So I had just enough time to look at a load and email the broker on that load. It was a different broker, different load. And my phone rings, and I recognize the number. I swiped red. And then they dial again. I swipe red. They dial again. I swipe red. And then there was a voicemail. Hey man, this is so and so. We wanted to see if we can wheel and deal in this load. Like, so they called again. I swiped green. I answered, hey, this is Steve. Yeah, man. It was a different guy. And he's like, hey, we can get up to here. Like, no, man, I can't go below this number, man. He goes, oh, man, we're taking such a loss on that. I said, man, I feel you, because a lot of my trucks have been in the red for the last 6 months. So anytime that they use that they're losing, remind them of what you've lost. You don't have to sit there and like, well, fuels this and this, repairs of this. Just say, yeah, I've been running kind of in the red for the last, X amount of days or whatever. And use the same tactic, because what it does is it nullifies that tactic. Because they're using your emotions. Oh, I should feel guilty for taking money out of the broker's, pocket. No, they're the ones that quoted that number. And if they literally cannot pay it, they'll tell you, look, we can't take that much of a loss. Have a nice day. And then you move on. That's the end of it. There's no need to dwell on it. Because what they can always do is they can always go back to the customer. Look, we can't move this for $1 a mile. We need some more money for this. If it's truly the shipper giving them that pressure, right? If it's the big boss, like a big name brokerage, and the big boss is saying you can't go above or below a certain percentage of margin, then when they can't move the load, when that brokerage can't move the load, that boss has to answer to the shipper of why their load is still on the dock. So there's a time to hold the line, and there's a time to not hold the line. There's a time that you have to just any port in a storm, and then there's a time where you could sit back and say, you know what, let's strategize this. Let's really kind of, get what I need to make this work. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in upstate New York and you have to go to Arizona. Like you can't two-step it. You can't three-step it. You have to literally go from New York to Arizona. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And so you get on one of the load boards and you see there's 2 loads within a 300-mile radius. Do you have any leverage? No. Are you going to take what you can get? Well, it depends. If it's $1 a mile, you probably won't do that. At least I hope you wouldn't. But at the same time, time's ticking. Maybe you got to be home for an event, right? You don't tell the broker. You don't sit there and go to yard sale like, man, I really need this. This is really cool. Can you come down to $5? I really need this. And you sit there like, I've seen a bunch of these. I can give you $5 for it. You don't let the other party know that you're desperate for this. And so that's what I mean. You're going to take what you can get. You don't want to lose that load over $50, right? Because that's what you exactly need, right? But if there's 100 loads going to Phoenix, then now you can pick and choose. Pick the lower deadhead. Pick the lower weight. Pick the one that pays the best. Pick the one that doesn't make you go through the tolls. Pick the one that makes the most sense time-wise, transit time, that goes towards you. So these are the games. This is how you play the game in the spot market. Spot market will chew you up and spit you out if you're not prepared to deal with all these kind of things. Or you grab someone like me, that can play these games for you. But the reality is that knowing the market, like I would not have known that I could get X amount per mile out of Louisiana had I not been paying attention to what the markets were doing, what the volumes are doing, these hot market maps that people make fun of me for showing you. When I recognize that there's a market that's on fire, that's when you know you have more leverage. That's when you know that you can be a little bit pickier. That's when you can get that lighter load. You can hold out for that X amount per mile that you want to move for, or X amount per day. And so if you're constantly running into bad areas like New Jersey, like Miami, like Denver, to get that big money going in, well, it's any port in a storm to get out. Keep the truck moving. Even if you have to deadhead, and recognizing when you have leverage and when you don't. That's an important part of the decision making that we went over on Friday. But I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. Let's go over the comments right here. Sterling Wheel, hello, he says. My name is Nobody. Good morning. Sterling says, good morning from Oak Ridge, Oregon. Josh the Vegan, howdy y'all. Sterling says, I keep meaning to bring my GoPro to work, but I'm struggling with willpower. You are under a lot of stress. And there are many factors that are affecting you. And if you need a phone call later, please do so. Jamie O, what's up? Good morning. TJ, Bull of the Woods. I keep wanting to throw the Jones in there, top of the morning. You and your Aurora gorilla face. Chi-Town Bound, what's up? Good morning. Charity, good morning. Got to hang out with Charity yesterday. We had a nice lunch. Hold on a second. Anyways, Charity and I had lunch yesterday, and it was good. It's good to meet our drivers. It's good to meet them. So, Wheel Burner, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a good hump day. Wheel Burner, you got a wrench? Put your link to your channel and the event on June 22nd. Chi-Town is from Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte's a good spot to be in right now, believe it or not. And see, that was the thing what I was talking about earlier. Historically, Louisiana kind of sucks as far as freight coming out. Unless you're flatbed. And I recognize that was not the case. And so if I went with, historically, and that's what the brokers were hoping on. Now, the ones, here's something else. When you look at 300 loads coming out of one area, like, say, 100-mile radius, and you look at posted rates, you can tell the ones that are trying to utilize AI because they're all the same percentage below pricing. And that's probably what they use to quote the customer. And so a lot of brokers are taking hits right now because they underquoted, and now they're having trouble moving the freight because of volumes. The other thing is contracts are falling apart. And so a lot of those loads are entering the spot market. The rejection rate is coming up a little bit. And the reason being is because the bank carriers are even saying, like, man, this sucks, dude. We can't do that for that. You're on your own. Because they can't lose any more profit margin. Everybody's struggling. Look, everybody's struggling. Big carrier, small carrier, medium carrier. In dry van and reefer freight. Now, flatbed, I don't know, but specialized, probably don't even watch this channel. But just recognize that, right? Randy, good morning from Dundee, Michigan. Desert Rookie Pam, good morning. Hope all is well. Shannon says, woohoo. This Viking brew, though. She's all hopped up on the light roast. Randy, take Jeff out for birthday breakfast. Ryan Peterson, New Loves opened last Thursday in Baker City, Oregon on Interstate 84. Charity told me there's a New Loves on I-44 exit 29. I remember seeing it built when we went to Arkansas a couple of months ago. And you can park there, but they're not open yet. But it's kind of nice because between Hood's truck stop at exit 61 to pretty much Mount Vernon, it's kind of no man's land. So Loves was smart, and let's put something in between no man's land. So Jose, good morning. Will Burner says, everyone, please give that like button a little tickle. A little tickle. Shannon says, I got the notification just as we hung up. That's normal because once you set it up and link it to StreamYard, YouTube sends out your notifications and people can enter your chat even though you haven't gone live from StreamYard. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for telling me that. DIY says, truck it up. CDN says, good morning, Steve. Has anyone added a tip button when you send a delivery notification? Add a rate my service with choice of 5 stars and a comment box. No, brokers don't care about that. Chief Ray Holler, I just like truck warranties. What happened? Did you get burned? Did PACCAR give you the middle finger on the warranty? Or are they like taking forever to, because like what I've seen here lately is the factory not paying the shop. So they hold your truck hostage. It actually happened to somebody. I know. Flatbed Trucker says, hello. CDN says, better yet, ask the broker how did you budget for fuel, tolls, time. Most brokers won't know. Further, you can say you didn't call me when you were quoting the load to understand the real cost. That's if you want to tick somebody off, yeah, tell them that. That's a good idea. But see, most brokers aren't going. I've only had one broker in the last 7 years admit to me that they underquoted something. And you know what? That's not the person that underquoted. He's just the agent of the brokerage that underquoted. So, walk the line. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash. It's about to hit the fan. Okay. I love that. I love that name. Isn't the issue with spot market some days thousands of carriers accept $1 a mile, then a week later try to hold the line? Both carriers and brokers play games. Yes. Now, I don't know I've never in my well, I take it back. I did take a load for 80 cents a mile at Schneider, but it was literally to get a trailer because there was no trailers in the area. So there was a load there was a loaded trailer in Lowell, Arkansas at their drop lot, and I needed a trailer. And I was getting ready to go back to work, and I called Box Planner, and they're like, sucks to be you, dude. So I looked on the load board, and there was a load going from Lowell to, I think, Springfield, and it was like, after my deadhead, it was like 80 cents a mile, but I had a trailer. I paid like $300. So, Snorelord, future CEO of DIY Trucking. Life happens. Not sure what all that means. Fire. Fire is a dirty word. Ryan, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. Ryan says HEB Texas grocery store has Swift pull their trailers only in Texas and maybe in Mexico where the stores are located at. Huh. Sometimes it's from DC to store or store to DC or DC to DC. Pull boy, Snorelord on the horn making executive decisions. 42 in here. I'm showing 19 likes. Please hit the like, folks. Don't beg. There's Will Burner. Make sure you check out his channel June 22nd. They're doing a big charity fundraiser for Forgotten Angels. Charlotte is a good place to wait until the afternoon to book a load. Yes. You can take advantage of the 3 o'clock shuffle in some places, but it's more like the noon shuffle because after 3 o'clock, man, A lot of brokers are working earlier. I've noticed that I can book freight from 6 to 2, whereas like a couple of years ago it was 8 to 4. Now it's 6 to 2. So there's that. Flatbed says hit the like. Trucking along with Kiersey. How you doing over there at the Big Prime? I live in the land of Prime. I've probably seen your truck a couple of times. This Saturday, June 22nd, is our second annual beard shaving for charity event. This year, we are supporting the Forgotten Angels. All love and contributions are welcome. No more snot noise, please. Okay, sorry. All right, Ryan says, if you want to stay local, go get you a day cab with plenty of them out there to be sold and run local, run and tinker. That's true. So, new loves at I-84, exit 304, Baker City, Oregon. That's good. Carrier's inability to read load confirmation, not calling or emailing to ask questions, and then sending wrong equipment and using load levelers when stated numerous times not to. Don't get me started. That I admit that, yes, carriers do not read load confirmations. Randy gave him a 3-shelf bookcase. You didn't give me any furniture. You never come through Springfield. Dropped my truck off Thursday at noon. Diagnosis was done and requested repairs were done by 4 p.m. No response from PACCAR until yesterday afternoon when I started making calls up the ladder. If not for waiting on warranty approval, I would have had my truck back Friday by swiping the debit card. We're almost to the bottom here. Mr. Charles, good morning. David Edwards, morning all. Hope you have a blessed day. Next time, I'm gonna give you guys some advice. All right. The next time you think you can't do something, like you have lack of discipline or willpower or something like that, say, I have a choice. There you go. That's my tip of the day. Ryan says, doing good. Got out of bed, hauled a load to the bathroom, and then went for a walk down to the shop, and now I'm playing World of Tanks, watching you for a while where the AC cools the shop off. There you go. David Edwards, good to see you. Hopefully you're ready to be shaved clean on Saturday. Oh, are you part of this too, David? Cool. CDN have also showed up to pick several loads only to get turned away because the load had to go on a reefer. Yep. Actually kind of look forward to it, right? All right, so good. The cool thing about not shaving this beard, because people have asked me to, is number one, my wife will, she likes me to have the beard, but also I don't have to go through the scruffy stage. I don't have to go through this double stage. I don't have to look like, I'm always in the scruffy stage. Come on, say it. Say I'm always in the scruffy, some people might say homeless stage. I'm always there. So there's every now and then I'll tie it down if I'm doing something important. Now it is getting a little bit long. Like the other day, I was helping Shannon drop a trailer and I was doing her landing gear, and I had to kind of move my beard aside so it wouldn't get stuck up in the handle of the landing gear. So it's got to be careful, right? Speed Shifter, good morning. All right, so let me get some websites up here. Also, I think there's a hurricane something going on. So we'll take a look at the weather here real quick as well. You must be informed. Hey, look, they're paying $5,000 to go to Florida. Awesome. Yeah, because there's a hurricane on the way. I want to say the last reports I saw, it was going to Texas, but I was being told that wasn't the case. So let's go to the NWS. All right, National Weather Service. Oh, wow. There we go. So let's present screen. StreamYard taking its time. There we go. I've seen South Carolina to North Carolina Monday late afternoon, a little less than 400 miles, $3,400. West VV is popular around here right now. So now you're a truck driver pimp. Get to work, son. Yes, I agree with that in the closet. I agree with that. So nice to see the avatarless random names showing up. Thank you for watching. All right, so as you can see, there is some stuff going on here in the Gulf. So there's a tropical storm warning. So basically, if you're delivering in these areas of Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, there's gale warnings here. So if you're light, oh wow, what's all this orange over here? Oh, heat advisory. There's heat advisory in the Northeast. That shouldn't affect your driving. And then excessive heat warning. So it's hot. You know, we got that. Hurricane local statement here in the south tip of Texas there. So anyways, if you're going into the Gulf of Mexico area, you might have some disruptions. So just keep that in mind. Keep an eye to the weather. And of course, you got wildfires going on in California. And then you got excessive heat watches. So summer is in full bloom, right? You got some wind. What's the blue here? Frost advisory. We've got heat warnings in the Northeast, and we've got frost advisories in North Dakota and in Utah, in Nevada, not Utah, Nevada. So interesting. So interesting stuff there. All right, so let's go to load availability. This may not be a popular statement, but I'm ready for snow. Well, you haven't been driving long enough to realize what you just said. So, well, I mean, not driving a truck long enough. So, you new CDL holders, trust me, perfect time to drive is fall. So, actually, no, spring, because, 5 o'clock solar-powered trucks don't park as early. So, I haven't looked at the weather other than seeing it's going to be 110 in Phoenix. Yes, we just had a driver out in Phoenix. Had a driver out in, I had a friend of mine out in Pueblo, and it was like 117. He showed me on the dash what it looked like. So, all right, let's go. Let's go to Van here. This is the hot market map on 123 low board 48065. If you want to try it out for free for 30 days, use my code. Give me credit. Here we go. I might be able to buy that GoPro one day. So, anyways, here we go. Arizona, California is green. Texas is green. Missouri is green. Louisiana, Mississippi are yellow, which is interesting because I'm still getting good rates out of there on those two spots. I've done it twice in the last couple of weeks. West Virginia, just stay out of it. You can go over all my videos and see that West Virginia has never been green, ever. Like, never yellow, ever, when it comes to van. Wisconsin's waking up a little bit. 374 outbound, 368 inbound. Texas is 816 outbound, but 1,002 inbound. But you got a lot of intrastate, which is why it's probably green. Oklahoma's yellow instead of red, so that's kind of neat. Still showing a little bit more in than out. And then Arizona has been doing pretty good, which is why they're not paying to go to Arizona anymore. Same thing with California. So Arizona has become the new California. A lot of freight coming out. They're not wanting to pay you to go in. Nevada's yellow. Let's see what's going on in Nevada here. Might need to get a truck up there for some reason. See, trying to get a load heading to Arizona. See, there you go. I ordered a GoPro. Should be here today. Nice. I have the cheap $150. They don't even make them anymore. GoPro Cube. It was the Hero Sessions, I think. And it's been the most reliable camera I've ever had. Now, I did buy off a friend of mine the GoPro 6 or 4. I don't know. And it can take an external mic, but it's kind of wonky. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so the majority of my GoPro videos, if you go in my playlist on this channel here, you'll see my GoPro playlist where I actually showed driving and all that crap. And that was predominantly done with my cheap $150 GoPro. And I'm sure there's some gurus out there like, yeah, you can tell. So amateur. But that's fine, because I am an amateur. So you have labeled me correctly. So that's great. So I'm aware of it. Thank you. China runs Biden and the bureaucratic industrial complex, medical, military, media, homeless. It's all a scam. No more taxes for this BS government. Yes, in the closet, you are correct. And I've said this before. The sooner that everybody recognizes that we've lost the republic, then the sooner that we can get to work and get things done. So it's just that easy. Motobomb. GoPro's a crapshoot sometimes. They are. But the hero sessions, man, it keeps ticking, man. I hit the button once. It does what it needs to do. I hit it again. It does what it needs to do. The audio sucks on it, and I can't. It's the only one that you can't put an external mic to. That's why I upgraded, but it never happened. The upgrading kept failing. And the microphone kept failing. So there you go. All right. Las Vegas, California. That seems to be, I think we looked at that, and that was kind of the lane, Las Vegas and back to Southern California. Now, look at this one. Innovative Worldwide has Las Vegas to Blue Rapids, Kansas for $2 a mile. Let's see what this load's about. That's a pretty good rate coming out of Nevada. So either it's got 82 stops, it's 14,000 pounds. This is a perfect load right here. There you go. Carlucci's got it at 25, so you might be able to get $100 more out of it. Looks like historically this hasn't been bad. So what we do is we do Las Vegas to Blue Rapids, Kansas. So we go to market rates. Let's do Las Vegas. Oops. Nevada, not New Mexico, to Blue Rapids, Kansas. Get rate. 2482. 2507. Now let's scroll down. Green Screens has even got it. Even the AI is telling you should at least get 2380 out of that. So let's look. Boom, look at that spike. That was in 2022. So historically, 2020 was its lowest point, and that's what I was judging my assumption off of. So, wow. See, this is how we learn, folks. I assumed that it sucked to come out of Las Vegas because I was going over the 2020 impression. Now, there's a lot of times that we make assumptions based off of historical data that we've experienced ourselves. Like me not being a good dispatcher. That's an assumption made off maybe how I was dispatching 6 or 7 years ago. You would be correct. 6, 7 years ago, I did not know how to dispatch myself efficiently. Okay? So, but anyways, historically, it's been as high as 28. And right now, we're sitting about 25, 26. So, going to Kansas, which, it's not bad. All right, let's go back to load availability. And then we got to reset this to van again. Thanks, Steve. You all right? Cheap Free Hauler. I'm trying to book a load to the edge of Cali. I think I've completed the requirements to be Cali compliant. I want to take a load to the edge and go and unload it in case I get turned around. That's true. I don't get turned around with the load. You should be okay. But there's that word should. We all know how much that word can get people in trouble, right? Let's take a look at Arizona. Let's see what's coming in and out of Arizona. Sort this by highest rate. Look at that, $23,000 to go to Litchfield Park, from Litchfield Park to Brookshire, Texas. That's a really good rate. You gotta love it. It's always the same brokers that do this crap. And then they get mad because they got 100 phone calls, right? I imagine they meant this to be 2,300. Look, it's 2,364% above my cost per day. I'll go out and buy a truck real quick and cover this load. We'll be all right. 30,000 pounds. Lisa Pellerito is getting a lot of calls right now, probably. But yes. Normally it's about $212 a mile, so we're looking at about $2,500 to go out to Texas. Brookshire, there's a grocery distributor down there. I'm trying to think. With an insane amount for lumper fees. You got Tolleson, Erie, PA, $222 a mile. Profit margin on that's going to stink, though, because of tolls. Let me look here. $8 a.m. picks up 8 a.m. today. Delivers Monday, right? Monday? No, Sunday. Next week's going to be hectic because I got to go on a trip. What? Oh, I didn't say that out loud. Carl Chief's got this at about $4,000. They're at 48. So that when I see a lot of that going on, that usually means that the market is heating up a little bit. Now, I will say this. It says hay. So next time you're at a Lowe's somewhere out in the country and you see a dropped dry van trailer, go take a look inside that trailer. It's probably got hay in it. Look how messy that is. Hay can be a big challenge. So, to clean out. And if you blow it out with a leaf blower, make sure you wear a mask because you don't want to breathe that stuff and you'll get a sinus infection. Ask me how I know. All right, so we were checking the profit margin. We were load no longer available. I guess somebody took it. All right, so let's go back. Tolleson, Interlaken, New York. Let's see, Palo Verde to Oxford, Florida, $2.17 a mile, $1.84 to go to Royal Palm Beach. That's a little low because we know we're going to take our hit out of Florida. Here we go, $2.17 to Lexington, Kentucky. This can be a good load because Kentucky's not too bad right now. It's better than Florida. So let's take a look. Also picks up today. Is it hay? Straw. So obviously there's a hay shipper that's posted a lot of loads to pick up today. And they're throwing some serious money at it. So that's good. If you're willing to deal with the issues of hay and what it does to your trailer. Looks like $568 a day, $358 is what I got my daily rate at. Cost per day. And Lexington looks like a good area. Lexington, Kentucky, anywhere, 378 loads. So this is a good load. I would grab this if I wanted to deal with the hay. Hey. All right, Phoenix to Charlotte. Now, notice they're paying a little bit less per mile. Why is that? Well, let's take a look. They've posted lower. $38.50 is what they got it posted at. Cargo Chiefs got it at $45.32, which seems kind of high for out of Arizona, but Charlotte market's a good spot to be right now. So they're probably using so let's go back to market rates here. Phoenix to Charlotte. So let's look at the history of this. Phoenix, not Phoenix, New York. Come on now. I don't know how to type. Click. All right, to Charlotte. Get rate 47.10. So at 38, they're way below. They'll probably settle on 45 because what they're going to say is the market out of Charlotte's really good right now. Blah, blah, blah. Or that's what they're thinking. And that's what the computers are telling them what to think. And when a market is moving quite a bit, I have noticed that 123 puts this up. Negotiation strength data for the select equipment type and lane is unavailable at this time. That means it's shifting. But see, as you can see, Charlotte is a hot market, 762 loads. But historically, it's been as low as 31 and as high as, well, 47. So it's actually the highest that it's, well, no, 49 it was in 21. So it was almost $5,000 in 21. And we're almost to 21 levels on this lane. That's kind of cool. So now all this is null and void if the broker ain't going to pay. You got to have some, when they say this is all I have in it, they might be correct. But we talked about that earlier, so don't get too wadded up in your panties there. All right, so let's take a look at Missouri. Let's go back to Van here. Let's see what Missouri is doing for good old Shannon. Hey, truck can always wave at those drivers. They don't wave back. Nobody waves back anymore. There's so many great tools on 123 that I've discovered while sitting at home waiting for a set of injectors to be installed. I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, it's a good way to kill time, right? So appreciate the compliment. Let's see what the highest rate is coming out of Missouri. All right. Oh, it's always funny when someone goes, Missouri, I'm going to Missouri. Misery loves company, though. Just know that no one in hell ever wants to be alone. Just know that. That's your words of wisdom for today. I've done that twice now. St. Charles and Napa, Idaho. These are shopping carts. That's what these are. So these are multi-stop loads. I have yet to pick one of these up, but I see them posted all the time. So if you get a truck near St. Louis, this is the way to go. They're almost at $4,000. They've put the odd number to make you think that they're maxed out. Requires E-tracks and 3 ratchet straps. So it says carts there. So notice I said that before I clicked on the load because I know my markets, right? Idaho is going to be a bit of a challenge to come out, so you're going to need that profit. But we're going to want to know how many stops and how many actual miles there are. So that's going to be important on that load. They've got 3 of those, 4 of those, 5 of those. They've got a bunch, like almost 10. So when I see that, usually that means there's a store chain in the area that has bought carts all at once. And I notice that Walmart does this because I used to haul a lot of shopping carts out of Wagner, Oklahoma. And what I've noticed is that, like, I think I did 4 or 5 loads in a row that went to Colorado out of Wagner because all the Walmart in the area, all the Walmart stores in the area were changing their carts out at once. Same thing with Illinois. So when I took some to Illinois, so that's probably what's happening is Idaho's like, hey, all our Walmarts here need new carts. Or some other store chain up there. You got Kansas City to Seattle, $2 a mile to go out west. We haven't seen that in a while. Like this $1.80 is what I used to see. So, and these are like, this one's for tomorrow. So let's take a look at what this is. See if we can find out what the product is. They're at 38. Cargo Chief's got it at 39, so they're not too far off. Direct connect, van only, no reefer, uniform at dclogistics.com. So you have to be careful with some of these email addresses. You want to make sure that that's their legit. That would be easy to fake that because they got the X in the logistics, right? But they got the X here. So what if there's another brokerage that has the actual CS? So you always got to check your credit. Always check your website names. Always check that. They are pre-approved by Thunder, so that's probably legit. I don't work with Direct Connect a whole lot, so I've never noticed that they spell their name wrong. So, Springfield to Sumner, Washington, $1.78 a mile. California freight sales, so they're a lot lower than the ones coming out of Kansas City, and definitely lower than what's coming out of St. Charles. So let's see what this load's about. Picks up tomorrow at 4 p.m. Delivers at 5:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, right? No, Monday morning. It's a hell of a weekend run. You're probably you're gonna burn some of your hours, right? Carrier link tracking application required. As soon as load is received, read the entire rate confirmation. BOL picture required once loaded. Thank you for the truck driver. The driver. So they're being item OTR. So they're not telling you what it is. 29,000 pounds. They're definitely way low on the rate in order to make that profitable. So, are they pre-approved? Yes. Factorable. So, there you go. California freight sales. Let's go by highest rate per mile. See what's popping up here on the short haul stuff. Rate per mile. Boom. Obviously, Kansas City Olathe, $13 a mile, $260. So get rid of those. St. Peter's, Edwardsville, another St. Louis local. Kansas City Empire, Emporia, Kansas, not Empire. $5.12 a mile, $553. Here we go. Kansas City to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but then you're going to get a challenge to get out of there for $1,300 for 362 miles. You can afford the deadhead a little bit. Kansas City to Aurora, Colorado, $330 a mile. Venture Connect's got a couple of those. Here we go. Moscow Mills, Missouri to Warren, Michigan. I forget which part of Missouri this is. This might be one Shannon gets. Oh, that's not till the 26th. Never mind. $1,700. So they got the rate up there. Oh, it's got a second stop, Springboro, Ohio. So, okay, that's over there by St. Louis area. SRAM Logistics. Got a bunch going to Colorado. St. Louis, Olathe, 260 miles, $700. Here we go. Arnold, Missouri to Jacksonville, Florida, $256 a mile. Let's see, 2,200. 900 to go to Dallas. Make that 1,000. That could be done. Because you're going to take a hit out of Dallas. Sykeston to London. I would rather do this for the same $900. Same amount of miles. So that's going to be a better load. If you're going off just posted rates. Now, Higginsville, Missouri to Oklahoma City. They're at 1,000 for a little bit more miles, but you're going to... Oklahoma City is kind of no man's land. You're either deadheading to Tulsa or you're deadheading to Dallas. Or you're getting something straight out of there that goes into Missouri. That's what I try to do. There is a Niagara water plant there. So if you can grab something out of Niagara water, I would book that first before you book this load. See, St. Charles, Nampa are coming up. A bunch of those. Springfield to Davie, Florida, 243 mile, $3,000. 1,200 miles. Webb City to Edwardsville, so basically Joplin to St. Louis, 240 a mile, $750. Not too bad on the weight. Springfield to Jacksonville, so not bad freight coming out of here, so that's good. I'm not seeing a whole lot of under $2 a mile stuff. So if you're one of those, I ain't moving this truck for less than $2 a mile, then, it's very valid if your costs are very high. So you need to be that way sometimes. Missouri's a good spot for the next couple of weeks at least. Let's see if there's a lot of loads posted for today. So sort this by, let's scroll back up. Sort this by posted age. Actually, pickup date. We'll do that. Bridgeton to Murray. A lot of stuff being posted recently. They're not putting rates up. That's very interesting. When I see a lot of that, when they're not putting a lot of posted rates, they want you to price it. They want you to set the anchor. They want you to call them. Because people tend to not call on posted rates if it's real low. But then I know a lot of drivers that don't call on loads that don't have posted rates. So you got to know your pricing. You got to know what you need. You got to know what you want and what you're going to get. There's 3 levels. So, but again, don't listen to me. Figure it out for yourself. So let's go to Reefer. We've been in van long enough. Let's go to Reefer. Let's not neglect the guys and gals that bring our food. And make sure our plastic doesn't melt. Let's see. B. Craighead, hope you're doing great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hope you are too. St. Louis, worse than Chicago. I'll agree to that, maybe. D.O. Mallory, what's up, man? What's up, Mr. Mallory? How you doing? Hope all is well in your end dump world. Or hopper bottom. I think you're hopper bottom. Gray Big, what's up? Gray Big. Everybody go check out Gray Big's channel. He does short haul up in upstate New York. And he's got a really good channel that is seriously underrated. Seriously underrated. So go check out Gray Big. Please. One of my moderators find his channel and put it on the glass. If you don't mind. If no one can do it, then I'll do it. Oh, you're end up now? Okay. Getting loaded in Plattsburgh. Of course. Next time I'm in New York, man, which could be soon, I will holler at you. Going well. Good deal. Why? Because you're specializing, Mr. Mallory. You're specializing. All right, so this is Reefer. Let's take a look at Arizona. Since we looked at Arizona van freight, let's see what Arizona Reefer freight is doing. Let's see. Let's sort this by highest rate. Let's see where all the big long haul, big paying stuff is going. You are very welcome. Here, let me remove this real quick. Let me get my YouTube up here. I'll put the link up. Here we go. And he drives a Mac. So, copy, paste. There you go, sir. And that's what it looks like. That's his channel. Short haul truck and weekend review. So if you're wanting to run short haul, he kind of tells you his in and outs of what he's done, what he's doing. He's not even at 1,000 subscribers. He needs to be he should be up there with the big guys. So, and he's got a beard, so that makes him cool too, right? So that makes him cool. So, there we go. All right. Sterling wants 53-foot Reno to Seattle. We could do that here real quick. But first, we're going to look at Arizona. All right. So we got 7,700 to go from Yuma to Massachusetts, Chester, New York. We're at $7,000. We are over $3 a mile to go to Florida. Nogales to Denver. Gordonsville, Virginia. These are all great rates coming out of the west here. $302 a mile to go to Georgia. Ooh, look at that. Now, I will say this. Now, if you look at the southeast here, you have Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana that are struggling. Same thing with Oklahoma. What that's going to do is that's going to soften the Georgia and Tennessee and Arkansas markets a little bit. And then Texas has been kind of real soft here lately. So just know. And then New Mexico's been green for a minute. But a lot of this is produce coming out of Mexico. So let's go back to this Arizona real quick. Let's grab one of these $3 mile loads out into Gallus. $3.12 a mile. All right. The Gallus Winter Haven, they're at 65. Cargo Chief's got it at 5,000. Rate Check's got it at 64. So it's all over the place on the rate. It's been as high as 7. Well, grapes. So again, produce. I don't even run Reefer, and I knew that. So, but again, do not, for the love of God, do not listen to what I say. All right, so find loads. 53 Reefer, Seattle to Reno. So we go Seattle, Wa to Reno. All right, let me take this real quick. All right. Sorry about that. There was a broker that needed to know that a driver was verified to be able to book his own freight. I've been running into that a lot. So those of you with carriers with self-dispatch drivers, have your phone on the ready because they're going to want to know if you can book loads. So let's see, Reno, Nevada. And we've already got Reefer on here from our Turkey, Texas thing that that Snorelord wanted. All right, so search. Not a whole lot there. It's not a good lane. Wilsonville, Oregon to Sparks, Nevada. $727. So let me look here. Let me see what this. Going to Vegas. Okay. All right. So what we can do. So here's what we can do. We'll do one better for you there, Snorelord. Let's do Seattle. Oops. Seattle. Washington to Reno, Nevada. Put this on Reefer. Get right. So you can see this is not a great lane. Now there's more loads coming out of Reno to Seattle. And they're not sure on negotiation strength. So it's been as high as 1936. That's what it's going for now, but obviously they're posting for a lot lower. So if we switch this, so we turn this around, it's a little bit higher to go from Reno to Seattle, obviously. But this is This is probably my favorite tool that I utilize because right here it tells you the trip, tells you the driving time, tells you your estimated fuel cost at 6 miles per gallon, and then it also will tell you the toll costs here. So you can do your estimate profit after fuel only. You know, it's not like the tool that's on the actual load itself, load posting itself. And what I mean by that is if we go to find loads, we go to that search again. You know, you click on one of these loads, and of course you got your profit calculator in the right-hand corner here. There you go. As you can see, they're 101% below cost per day. Our cost per day, which is not even set up for it's a van load, so there's that. But they've got it in the reefer here, so that's probably why it's so low. Yeah, so you got your profit calculator right here. You can put your toll costs, you can put your dispatch fee, which I call that's the percentage that my carrier gets, 20% here at Like Trucking. And then you can fill this out however you want and set it as default so you have that amount taken out every single time so you can know your true cost per day and then know that you're going to lose $2 a day on this load. So you're basically paying $2 a mile to run their freight if you do this load. So, and then you got all these stipulations because they don't trust you to read the rate con. So it's tooling. So why this is in the reefer deal, I don't know. Probably because I'm in the similar loads area. So if we click on this load, let's click on the one load that did show up. Now I noticed that I put in a 150-mile radius, but it brought this one up at 161 miles. So you really got to have a mapping tool next to you when you're doing these true deadheads. You don't want to be caught by surprise. For example, if you're looking at loads to pick up in, say, east or western part of Michigan going to the eastern part of Wisconsin, you got to make sure that they're not putting the loaded miles going across the water. That will happen. I ran into that twice yesterday because I got a truck in Wisconsin dealing with some stuff, right? So you got to pay attention to these actual deadheads. Do not go by these tools, any of them. Now, if you're out in the sticks in Louisiana, you know, if you go to Google and say how far is it from point A to point B, look at that route. Make sure you look at that route and make sure it's not cutting you through the woods, whereas a truck might have to go on the interstate causing 20 more miles, which might be important when you're telling the broker ETA to wherever you're going. There you go. So, little things to think about. A lot of things to think about, really, to be honest with you. Axle Logistics has got this. 63% below our cost per day based off of these historical rates. And so you're going to have to do all this calculation to figure out what it's going to take to be profitable. So if you call on this load and say, hey, I need 358 a day, you calculate that. It's a one-day run. So obviously, 561 miles, depending on your deadhead. And if this doesn't meet your rate per day, you look at the load that you brought in, add them together. If that doesn't do it, then this is not a good load for you. But also, we got to look at the Nevada market, what's coming out of there. As you can see, it's not bad. Nevada to anywhere, 48 loads posted. So just little things to think about. So let's go back to Reefer here. Let's take a look at reefer loads out of Wisconsin here. Wisconsin's green, 170 outbound, 120 inbound. You're welcome, Gray Big. 123, okay, 123 has a reefer rate chart from the USDA showing availability of trucks and range of rates from the different areas. Yes. All kinds of cool tools. Flatbed trucker, I sub to Gray Big, good deal. My name is Nobody Just Sub. Thank you. And he did an interview on Pale Rider's channel as well, so make sure you check out Pale Rider. Pale Rider's been MIA here lately. He's fine. He's just been actually working a real job, and he hasn't. And it's during the time that he used to go live. So everybody, we wish Pale Rider well, but he's doing all right. So, anyways, let's just sort this by the highest low. What's the highest paying thing coming out of Wisconsin today? Or yeah, today. Right there you go. $13,600 to go from Belgium to Bowling Green, Ohio. There you go. $25 a mile. There's your load. Obviously, it's a typo. I look at these typos. I'm thinking, man, that broker's getting their phone blown up. Not that anybody would seriously think that they're actually going to pay $13,000 for that. Bowling Green, Kentucky, not Ohio. So let's see, we're at $12.89 on Cargo Chief, so they probably meant to put $13.60. My profit per day is $10,000 a day. That's pretty dang good. And who says there's no money in Reefer? Come on. All right, so let's go to this more realistic load. Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and Winter Haven, Florida. They're at $2.58 a mile. Let's see what's going on with this load. My coffee is getting cold, by the way. Make sure you check out contentcreator.com for Viking Brew. Or die. That wasn't very nice. They're above the average here. They're above Cargo Chief. -10 on the temp, so it's obviously frozen. That's pretty deep into Florida. 28 loads coming out of the whole state of Florida. 23 coming out of Winter Haven, so that's good. So I call on typo posting and say, I'll take it for the posted rate, no negotiations. Just send the rate card. That's a good idea. And then you'll get the question, well, what's it posted for? $13,600? We can't do that. Well, I'll do it for that. I'll tell you what. I'll cut you a deal. I'll do it for $10,000. I'll do it for $10,000 because I feel sorry for you. You can do that, you know. So, speaking of Reefer 77. Good morning. So that's a good strategy. Look, man, I know you're probably having trouble moving this load, but I'll come down like $700. So we'll do it. Or I'll come down a couple of thousand from 10,000. So you can go to Lakeland, Florida for $2,800, $202 a mile. There's a lot of stuff posted for today and tomorrow. So, all right, let's take a look at flatbed. We got a couple of flatbedders in here. Oh, geez, southeast is green. Imagine that. Florida's yellow, though. So let's take a look at Minnesota. Let's see what flatbed step deck freight is coming out of Minnesota. $1.79 to go to Flagstaff, Arizona. Looks like a partial. Sort this by highest rate per mile. That's the best way to do flatbed here. $1,000 to go to North Dakota. No, thank you. South Dakota. Looks like it's going to $900 to go to Iowa. Notice these are all states in the red. Now, I'm going to show you guys something interesting here. Let's go to Georgia. Obviously, Minnesota's not great on the short or long market. Oh, look, $17,000 to go from Tallapoosa, Georgia to Bristol, Indiana. Let's take a look at that one. This might be a specialized deal. This may not be a typo. Let's take a look. Because we got step deck in here, and it might be a specialized deal. Nope, just says flatbed, Truckload, 37,000 pounds. They're at 1,700, I bet, which is about where Ray checks at. So, anyways, let's look at intrastate Georgia. So you can set by outbound, intrastate, and inbound. Georgia does not need, oh, actually it does need intrastate authority. So I got a list in front of me here that I keep handy when I'm booking trucks. You don't want to get in trouble with that. A lot of short haul stuff in Georgia. And if you could do 2 of these a day, that's some good money. We've got a driver doing this in the flatbed world. He's doing a lot of these 2 or 3 loads a day, stuff that's paying like for 50 miles, paying pretty good money. And he can get 3 of them a day because the shipper receiver, he knows them really well, hasn't had any issues, and he lives in Georgia. So he's home almost every night, making probably more money than most guys running OTR right now because he's willing to do the short, repetitive stuff. So what you can do is, here's what you do. How do you find that stuff? So you sort this by distance. Where are we? Trip. Here we go. 36 miles for $350. And you do that with any state on any platform, really. So the trick is, though, you have to know the shipper and receiver. So this might be an experiment at first. And then if you know that you can get 2 or 3 or 4 of these a day, then there's your money. Now, technically, I wouldn't go under, in van, I never wanted to go below 500 a day, or not 500 a day, 500 a trip on something, just in case something went bad with the trip. So, because you don't want to take your loss. But if you can do 2 of these, I mean, there's a ton of these. Now we're getting the 100-mile range. It's a little bit more challenging to do 2 of these a day, depending on the customers, right? If it's a wide open window and they load you when you get there and there's no wait, and they unload you when you get there and there's no wait, man, you can make some true money running short local stuff. And I did that for a while in van. I was doing 2 loads a day, $550 a piece, Joplin to Rogers. I just deadheaded back for the next one. And on the days that the shippers and receivers had their act together, I made good money. A couple of times they didn't. It made for a long day. And it does make for a long day. I mean, you're working your full 14 to pull that off. Especially in the flatbed world, you got to show on duty, while you're strapping and all that. So you're going to burn through more hours. But it can be done because we've been seeing it, right? Chief Freight says, strategy to get from Georgia to the edge of Cali for the most money and a relaxed scenic route. Vegas, Reno, Klamath Falls, Kingman. In Reefer or van? Because we can take a look for that. Sterling wants to see 48 step deck Salt Lake City to any Western. So, go to find loads. Create new search. We'll do Salt Lake. Now, so what we do is we go to USA regions, right? So we look at all of our western states. So region 8 and region 9. We take out Alaska. We don't need Alaska. Actually, we'll keep that in. And hit apply. And then let's do a 200-mile radius of Salt Lake. And then let's do for any date. And then now we'll switch to the trailer. So we'll do all flatbed. How's that? That I'll take out Reefer. That puts flatbed and step deck and all the double drops and all that. So we'll hit apply. Search. Direct from Georgia's kind of cheap. Yeah. Van. Okay. Cheap freight hauler. I know what you can do in a van. And I know where you come out of, but I really don't want to say that out loud. So email me at snorelord@yahoo.com. And I can tell you a strategy that I would look at. Gary Cook, good morning. Just turning in. Gary, good to see you. All right, so there's quite a bit here. So let's sort this by highest rate. See where all the big money is. No? 1,500 to go to Idaho. 1,400 to go to Wyoming. Some $700 deals for 200 miles. Not a whole lot. Salt Lake's a kind of a bad spot for flatbed, as we can see here, at least on this low board. So, and if you want to compare it, let's go to DAT. So let's put this to let's put this low count to flatbed. And then go down to Nevada here. 124 in, 97 out. So it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's the freight in the whole area. So we did not look. Missouri looks good, which we saw that on the 1, 2, 3. North Carolina looks good, which we saw. So a lot of these low boards mirror themselves on your in and outs. Ohio is less out than in. See what Indiana's doing. 1253 in, 1403 out. So I mentioned this the other day that out of all the Midwest states, Indiana was the only one that had more out than in. So you get a little bit more coming out of Indiana than, say, Ohio or Illinois. Let's look at California. California, 2,067 in and 5,098 coming out. So that number's been consistently been above $5,000 coming out for a while, for the last couple of weeks at least the last week. Texas has got 5,992 or 5,092 out. They're about equal. They're about even. Texas is even in, even out. Or no, that's a 6. Never mind. So yeah, Texas is hurting. Still managed to get $1.96 out of Texas, I think. So, low volumes have increased in other areas. So it just depends on the area that you're going to. And that now, like Ohio, 1896 going in, 1765 coming out. Now, that shows me you got a little bit less leverage, but there's still a lot of loads there. So you can land on Ohio, and you'll find something without having to look ahead. Just know, you want to look at the areas of Ohio that you'll get the most money from. So here's what you can do. You click on this little link. And this is all the loads coming out of Ohio, right? So you can sort this. Obviously, they're only going to give me 500 results. So let's sort this by highest rate. Obviously, these things going out west are going to pay a little bit less. So we'll do the highest rate per mile. Of course, all those are going to go northeast. The lowest rate per mile goes out west, and the highest rate per mile goes northeast. So you can kind of gauge the market there. Now, if we sort this by trip, shortest first. A lot of intrastate stuff. You can take a look at that. It's the same thing, right? You can take a look. Just like 1, 2, 3. You go to here and you sort this by trip. And that's how you can spot whether you can run intrastate or you're going to need to run longer miles. And I'll give you examples. So let's go to load availability. Let's go back to van, since I know van. I want you to go to New York. Let's go to the state of New York. If I had any regrets, it's not running step or flat last year. Gary, private loads are, to be honest with you, I don't really know. I don't know. That's interesting. I've never messed with that. So, I don't know. That might be a question for Sammy. Makes sense. DAT is his platform as far as promotion. So, anyways, yeah, we were looking at New York. So what we can do is we can sort this by trip. And then you can see where all the short loads are going. Obviously, New Jersey, PA, Connecticut. And so you'll want to know what the average rates are for these. So, like, for example, I'll give you, I'm not going to give you a specific name, but I had a driver call me one time. Hey, I'm interested in your dispatch services. I'm like, okay, where do you live? Well, I live in New Jersey. I'm like, okay. How often do you need to be home? Every other day. Okay. Now, knowing that this is the average, if you want to be home every day, a lot of deadhead, a lot of tolls, and they're only paying about $500 a day, you're going to be at a constant loss with that limitation. A lot of deadhead. So the first thing I asked him was, well, what is your cost per day? Because as you can see, that's important. We're going to lose on this load. You got $63 in tolls. You have $170 in fuel. Actually, no, $122 in fuel. And to this day, he has never been able to tell me what his cost per day is. Because I knew that he was going to come back with probably like $500 or $600 a day. And I was going to be like, well, guess what? You ain't going to profit if you want to run like that. And that's the harsh truth that I have to tell people sometimes. And some people listen, some people don't. I have to tell them, hey, you know what? You are not going to profit per day running this way. Like here's Yonkers, New York to Dorchester, Massachusetts. Now, we have drivers doing it. We have drivers profiting, and they're running primarily Northeast because they live up there. So they know the market. They know the ins and outs. They know where they can park. Like, here's a good load. Yonkers, New York to Dorchester, Massachusetts, 37% above my cost per day, $800. Cargo Chief's got it at $948. Green screens is not available. It's sugar, so it's going to be heavy. What are our tolls? $5 in tolls. That's not bad. But then coming out of the Massachusetts, what do we got? 4 loads. There's 2 going from Dorchester to Yonkers. Let's take a look at those 2. See what that's paying. So Southborough, Massachusetts to Denver, PA. You're looking at $500 to go from Massachusetts to New York. So you got 800 one direction, 500 in the next. That's what, $1,300? 2 days. Divide that by 2. You're at what, $650 a day? Can you survive on $650 a day before fuel, before your carrier's cut? Probably not. So you got to make it work. You got to choose the right loads. You got to come up with a strategy. You got to know your customers, right? Sterling says, 4 hours into my trip today, I realize I'm still in yard move. That's funny. Emailed Snorelord. It's from my work email. I forgot to put CFH in it. Okay. Private loads over here mean that you're vetted and trusted as a carrier and can bid on the load. Okay. Basically a private network of carriers. Okay. CDN says, who has any new ideas on ways to calculate costs in trucking? A panel of great minds could come together here and brainstorm new ways. If drivers were paid salary, what formula would you use for costs? CDN sent me a great article. Actually, no, it was from the AI talking about the differences of paying a W-2 driver and an owner-operator or a lease operator. It was great insight. Something that maybe we should go over one day, CDN, on this platform. But anyways, as far as like, Pigtail came up with a business health assessment tool. And it's the most complex, complete thing that I've ever seen in calculating costs. Now, there are websites and everything else that will help you with, with calculators or whatever. But the number one problem that I see when a person is calculating their costs with any business, not just trucking, is they're not being honest on what they're actually paying. Like, for example, do you calculate how much money you spend on food per month in the truck? Do you have a budget for that? And if you're okay, so let's say you go to Walmart and you spend $100 in groceries and you eat completely out of the truck. That's still $400 a week or a month. I'm sorry, $400 a month. Is that calculated in your costs? Is that calculated into your salary? Because some people, they'll put the business separate from personal expenses. But think about this. A company driver, you make so much per mile or you make so much per week if you're salary, and that's your salary. So if you're only making $50,000 a year salary, then you're not going to go out and buy a brand new F-150 at $100,000 on a 7-year note. I mean, you can, but you're going to be in debt, right? You're going to be, you got to have, are you going to be able to pay your rent? Are you going to be able to pay your car payment? Are you going to be able to pay your life insurance? Are you going to be able to pay your health insurance out of that $50,000 that you're making, right? So if you're a trucking business owner, you probably need to have a salary, and you have to live within the means of that salary. So, I know a driver that told me that their salary, quote unquote, was $20,000. Well, can that person live off that $20,000? That's food, that's personal expenses at home, that's that's all the things that you cannot write off on your business. You have to live within those means. And so if you don't know what your salary is, you don't know how much you can live within your means. So most of the time when I see people calculating their costs, they're not accounting for what their salary needs to be, or they're not throwing every single expense that they need to know what they can live off of. So you essentially have to come up with two budgets. You have your trucking business budget. You got to know what to break even. And part of that business budget has to include a salary that you have to live within the means. So on the personal side, you have to have a budget for that. Okay, I make $30,000 a year. That's my salary that I pay myself from the trucking company. And so, can I buy groceries? Can I buy coffee? Can I buy, you know, entertainment? You know, can I afford my Netflix? Can I afford my Paramount? You know, whatever BS satellite crap. You know, can you afford that? Can you afford the video games? Can you afford the car payment? Can you afford the house payment out of that salary that you've put to yourself? And Pigtail, hands down, has the best tool that I've ever seen out of anybody, out of all these expensive websites, out of everybody that tries to come up with calculations. Most people are not, what I have found is that most people are not honest about their personal expenses and don't realize that they're going in the hole because they haven't calculated everything, because they're not tracking everything. That's just my 2 cents here. So, CDN, I think the cost per day approach would work. Everything could be broken down into a 20-day month. Yes. And so that's the other thing. So Jeff has talked about it at length, and I'm talking about it at length too, the cost per day. So you look at your cost of your business and the salary that you need, and you put that in a daily rate. Now, if you want to work 20 days a month, which is every weekend off, you want to calculate it at 20 days. If you want to work every other weekend, you count it at 25 to 27 days. You cannot calculate it at 30 days a month just to make that number look lower, because you cannot work a full 30 days a month, because you either need a 34, or the truck eventually is going to need a break because it needs to go in the shop, or you're going to lose a day because the broker gave you wrong information or the load was canceled and you're having trouble finding something else. You're always going to lose a day. So I never go above 25 days when calculating the cost per day on a month. And you can run into a lot of problems. You know, Graywick says empty. All right, thanks for tuning in, Graybig. I hope we didn't bore you too much. I used to divide my fixed cost by 365, and what I found was when I'm at home, my thoughts were going to, it's costing me X amount to stay here every day. Right, so you can do 2 calculations. Do it at 365, but also do it at 20 days a month. Do it at 25 days a month. And then after you do a full year, when you turn in your per diem to your accountant, look at how many days you ran. And then you can divide your cost by that amount, because that's what you average. But what I'm finding is most people average between 20 and 25 days. I don't care if you're the hardest runner, because even if you run 3 months straight without going home, you still need 34s, and the truck will still need a day in the shop. And you will lose a day here and there if you're running 3 months straight with a canceled load or a layover or something, right? So you cannot do 30 days a month. I've argued with people on this. All doing the 30 days a month or 365 days a year, all that's doing is making you feel better about yourself when you're not moving. That's all it does. Well, I'm only losing $200 today because that's my cost per day. No. You need to do it at 20 days a month at minimum, so you know that, hey, you know what? I didn't make my note at $20 or 20 days a month, so now I got to work every other weekend. Like you have to be honest with yourself to gauge. So that's there you go. Researching a few things right now. That's cool. Well, if you need help, man, you got my email, and we can have a phone conversation. Actually, I might even have your phone number. CDN says, no other industry accounts or personal expenses as part of cost. If a company driver said, I'm buying a truck, how much can I expect to make in a year? The spot market, $60,000 or $85,000 a year. Right. So, and you're right. So if I call a plumber to come over to the house, if his rate is too high because he's got this brand new F-150 that he can't write off at home, that's not my problem, right? So if his quote is higher than every other plumber, he's never going to get any work, right? So, but he probably has a salary that can tell him that he can buy whatever personal vehicle he wants. So the salary is the biggest part. as far as like it's an important part because you need to know what you can live off of. If you can live off 20 grand a year, then more power to you. If your house needs X amount, like let's say your spouse works, like in my situation, your house needs X amount. Well, that's your salary. No, it's not. I have to add food. I have to add my Netflix. I have to add my satellite. I have to add these things as my salary. But the trucking business needed $358 a day, and that included my salary, which out of the salary is where I pay my house. I pay my share of this. I pay my share of that. The things that I cannot write off from my business. That's what I need for my salary. Stuart says, does it matter day, mile, hour, minute? It all comes out the same. It doesn't change people's ability to comprehend and live within their means. Just saying. No, I understand that. That's why these rate per mile versus rate per day arguments are invalid to me. Because at the end of the day, no one's doing any of it that I've noticed. I know that's harsh, but most people are not calculating it correctly. They might, like, for example, I'm guilty of that. So let me give you two scenarios, right? I was at Landstar, and I sat a lot. Why? Because I could not get out of my own way on booking my freight. I've done a whole video on it. Go to my Landstar video, and you'll see what I was doing wrong, okay? What I was learning, the harsh lessons I had to learn. And then when I went to Schneider, I was making the exact same rate per mile because they're both at 65%. At the time, Schneider's different now. I was still choosing my own freight at Schneider, but the difference was the drop and hook. I went from 10% drop and hook to 80% drop and hook. So what was happening is I was filling in the gaps. I wasn't sitting at truck stops, fattening myself up with Popeye's chicken. I was literally working more, even though I was making the same rate per mile. And so on the surface, like, oh, my average rate per mile is just as good at Schneider as it was at Landstar. But my rate per day was different. So you have to know both numbers. That's why it's an argument. That's why it's an invalid argument. One's better than the other. Either way you calculate it, if you go by the rate per mile, if you sit a lot, that rate per mile changes because you're running less miles. If you on a rate per day, same thing. If you sit for 4 days, now that $1,000 load that you just got, you're basically making $200 a day. But you can sit there, well, it's a 1 day load. I made $1,000 in 1 day. No, it's 4 days because you sat. So here's another scenario. So if I have 2 trucks and I find the same paying loads, but one gets one every day and one gets one every other day because of how they run, they're going to be literally in half of the other truck, even though they're making the same rate per mile on average. Hold on a second. All right, guys. Anyways, these are just thoughts that I have because I've seen what takes owner-operators out, and I'm seeing what's hurting a lot of people and what's not hurting a lot of people. And I've learned a lot over the years. And if I have real-time data of looking at 3 or 4 or 5 trucks that I'm dispatching, and I look at their running styles and I see differences in them, that's usually most trucks are capping out at certain rate per day. And so if they're wanting me to wait between each load, or hours are a problem, there's a lot of things that go into this. But at the end of the day, just knowing your numbers is important. If you want to run every other day, then fine. You better make your business to where that's sustainable. Chief Freight says, CDN, the company driver should be a business owner first and say, I can survive on $40K a year. Buying a truck does not promise a higher salary. Gary Cook, does a lease owner-operator, if I'm paying myself, do I have to supply myself a W-2? No. No, the term salary is, some people set it up like that, but I wouldn't deal with that. So, but your salary is your salary. Like how much do you need to live off of? Because it's not like you're going to only pay your truck and then not be able to make your house payment. So that's what I mean by salary, right? When a company hires a dispatcher for $65,000 a year, Carrie has to make revenue or goes in the red. I pay myself every 2 weeks. If I didn't earn enough, I have to use business credit line, then pay it back. So CDN. Chief Freight says, my salary as owner-op is 1/3 of what I made as a company driver, but there's a mental benefits of the lower salary. And also, the freedom of self-employment is great if a person's disciplined and they can do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Stewart says, here's a thought, take the emotional decisions out of trucking, everyone would be a bit more successful. That's true. That's true. That's why some of the best business people you'll see are cold and heartless. Your strategy is right. Then either each quarter or at the end of the year, if you made more than planned, pay yourself a bonus. There you go. There you go. So anyways, I got to get to work, guys. Thanks for watching. I know this is a long one, but we haven't been live in a while, so I was trying to make up for the lack of Monday. So with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Just be smart, be safe. Don't let your emotions become your enemy. I have a choice. So, anyways, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Bang your head, man. Have a good cup of coffee. Mine gotten cold, so I got to freshen it up. Peace. We'll see you Friday. Maybe.